Welcome back, everyone, as we continue our exploration of the Pontiac Grand Prix and why the 1994 to 96 model years truly set up the Grand Prix for some really exciting changes. And though there was a little exterior differences in this year compared to the previous year, the 1994 model year represented a major step forward in the evolution of the Pontiac Grand Prix. A host of mechanical and interior upgrades were instituted that gave the aging platform a shot in the arm that allowed it to go on for an additional 3 model years before some really exciting changes would happen. The powertrain upgrades were significant. A new version of the familiar 3.1 liter V6 was introduced. It was known as the 3100 V6, and while it was based on the same engine family as the previous power plant, it shared very little in the way of carryover componentry. A new block was designed with a cross-bolted bearing caps, further bolstered by a new structural oil pan for unprecedented stiffness. A new assembled steel camshaft replaced the traditional but heavy cast iron unit, and sequential port fuel injection was added, replacing the old batch fire system. Sequential fuel injection sprays a precisely timed amount and metered shot of fuel into each cylinder rather than a continuous spray. The result is a cleaner, more powerful burn, which is giving the car measurably better fuel economy. The ignition system was upgraded with a 24 times crankshaft sensor, and the compression ratio was up to 9.5 to 1, but still ran on 87 octane fuel. The 3100 V6 was mated with the 4T60-E automatic transmission, which helped achieve an APA rating of 19 miles per gallon city and a rather impressive 28 miles per gallon highway. The changes worked to increase the horsepower by 20 to 160 at 5200 RPM with 185 pound-feet of torque at 4000 RPM. The added power dropped the 0 to 60 times of the base GP from 11.1 to 10.5 seconds. The 3.4 liter twin dual cam V6 was not overlooked either. Though its upgrades were modest, Pontiac was forced to drop the 5-speed manual transmission in this car and engine combination due to too many mechanical issues since it had been introduced. So rather than spending the money on upgrading the bearings, which were the main problem with this engine transmission combination, Pontiac, like Chevrolet, in their mechanically identical Lumina Z7034, simply dropped the 5-speed manual altogether and upgraded the mechanics of the engine with the automatic transmission to basically give that engine more horsepower. Like the 3100 V6, the updated twin dual cam V6 featured new sequential port fuel injection, which replaced the previous batch fire system. The electronic control module was upgraded for the new injection system. The changes brought the horsepower up by 10 to 210 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, with a very respectable 215 foot-pound of torque at 4,000 RPM. As mentioned, a variety of other upgrades were instituted in the 1994 model year. The air conditioning system was converted to a more ozone-friendly refrigerant, and most significantly, the interior received a much-needed facelift, including a new dash, interior materials, and more standard features than ever before. The most significant feature of the interior was the redesigned instrument panel that offered better ergonomics and more storage space. The standard driver and passenger side airbags were also added, a first for any midsize GM car. The gauge cluster included larger, easy-to-read gauges, including speedometer, tachometer, coolant temperature, and fuel level gauge. The gauges were backlit in red, which had become a Pontiac trademark of sorts. And from this generation, I have to say this is probably one of my favorite things about the Pontiac because I just love the red interior lighting. It almost makes it feel like the cockpit of an airplane when you're in there at nighttime. And thankfully, front seat belt retractors on the sedans were finally mounted on the door pillars, though the coupes still suffered from the annoying door mount locations that they had had dating back to 1988. The 94 Grand Prix Havoc controls were also revised and made much more user-friendly than ever before, using large round knobs instead of smaller, more cumbersome vertical slide controls. Likewise, the various sound systems in the Delco 2001 family featuring new matching faces and knob, again with an eye towards ergonomics. New standard interior upholstery was used this year, and a Palex cloth was used in years past, made way for a totally new higher grade cloth. Leather was available in graphite or beige, and additionally, new Generation 3 heads-up display was integrated into the upper instrument panel. The Grand Prix model lineup was streamlined for 1994, greatly simplifying the ordering process and reducing confusion for buyers. The 5 model lineup was reduced to 2. Option packages were revised, and the base model was upgraded. Only the Grand Prix SE Coupe and SE Sedan remain. The LE and STE models were dropped altogether, while the GTP and new GT sedans became option packages that included the twin dual cam engine. Additionally, the exterior was upgraded a bit for 94, while some basic body was carried over for both coupe and sedan models. They were freshened up with some revised urethane panels. The SE Coupe benefited from the revised body cladding similar to last year's GTP, but with a bit less ribbing. Additionally, the sportier special edition coupe package came with a standard 3100 V6 engine. The SE sedan also received a more modest styling upgrade in the form of new rocker skirts that deflected stones and road debris from the sheet metal. All told, Pontiac built a total of 148,405 1994 Grand Prix. No further breakdowns were available from here on. Nothing other than total sales production has been released by Pontiac, though some specialty versions are included in the totals. The 1995 model year rolled around with very little in the way of changes, considering the rather large number of improvements to both powertrain and interior the year before. It stands to reason that Pontiac wasn't going to change a lot. One area that changed was the engine management system. The previous OBD1 system, which had primarily controlled the electronic programmable read-only memory chip, burned significantly for each powertrain application. It was turned out that the system used in 1995 was a one-year anomaly, a sort of hybrid that featured the bulk of the OBD1 systems used previously, with much of the wiring for the upcoming OBD2 system. Other changes included a special white appearance package for the coupe models that included white color-keyed wheels and specific pinstriping. Actually, these white appearance packages would become quite popular in Pontiacs, as notably the Bonneville and the Grand Am both had this package available. And I have to say, they actually look quite sharp during this time, well, maybe more in the late 90s. One of my favorites was actually the Grand Am GT with the V6 that used to come with the white wheels and all the white body cladding, and you put tinted windows on that car, it looked really sharp. Pontiac built a total of 143,729 1995 Grand Prix. For 1996, it was almost exactly the same situation, with little in the way of visual changes. The main differences between the 96 GPs and the previous two model years were the electronics. The OBD2 was added and became the standard throughout the next generation. It was a flashable control module. The only other significant changes were the B4U appearance package that was now standard on the SE Coupe, and the dual cam V6 reached its highest performance standards. Some improvements in the air intake and exhaust system raised the horsepower by 5 for a total of 215 horsepower and 215 pound-feet of torque. The Grand Prix production for 1996 included 77,256 units, which was a significant drop from the previous year. However, if you stick around for my next video, you will find out how the Grand Prix kind of got the proverbial shot in the arm that it needed at this point. And one of the more significant engine upgrades of the time was about to be released, and the Grand Prix would get an engine in it that had been already very successful and very reliable in the Pontiac Bonneville. So stick around for that in a video coming out very soon. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next video.